In the world of video games, you have two choices: be boring or be unique. And I personally find the attention spent on realistic graphics by the mainstream gaming community to be quite boring. It's kind of like going to an art museum. While realistic paintings are impressive, give me that weirdo stuff, you know what I mean? Same goes for games. So that's what this series is for, to draw attention to games that have unique art direction, styles, etc. Starting with Ape Out. Ape Out is the perfect example of things that I want to highlight. This game could have just depicted you as a realistic looking ape, fighting realistic looking people, in a realistic looking world, backed up by a generic soundtrack. Oh, what, are you bored? Well, congratulations, because they did none of that. Instead, you are this orange killing machine, fighting these white blocky guards from a top-down perspective. This game always uses colors that are visually striking, but it never takes away from the gameplay. It's always clear what's interactable, what's an enemy, what's a wall. But right now you're asking me, Max, what about the soundtrack? Is it some sort of generic rock music, or maybe it doesn't have music and it's just jungle sounds? Well, the soundtrack is actually pretty simple, until you realize it has a little trick up its sleeve. The music is reactive, meaning what you do in the game has an effect on this simple music. This is the objectively correct choice for the game. In Ape Out, you may have a perfect plan of attack, but most likely something will go wrong, and you have to think on the spot. A soundtrack that reacts to this and is pretty much improvised is a perfect fit. It will be calm in calm moments, but it starts going sicko mode when pandemonium inevitably erupts, causing the game to make you feel like you're a jazz composer. A jazz composer that violently murders security guards. Puzzle games provide several emotions. While I'm the opposite of well-versed in the genre, the few puzzle games I have played put me in a rhythmic trance as I try to do combos that I'm not nearly skilled enough to pull off. Visually, however, puzzle games are typically very flat. They sacrifice visual uniqueness in favor of a simple, utilitarian approach. And that isn't a bad thing, but man, I really want more games like Tetris Effect. I recently played this and was floored. Seeing gameplay of it doesn't do it justice, and I will admit I was a bit skeptical when I first saw it, thinking it was a mere reskin of a game that has been remade so many times. However, it is a certified banger. The way that all of the visual effects intensify as you play makes it so absorbing. The music does the same, as well as being reactive to what you are doing. This causes an effect where every single piece you place feels weighty and meaningful without feeling clunky. This is one of those games you play slack-jawed while completely absorbed. This is one of the only games that I have played that has an audiovisual experience accurately match how you are feeling, providing an experience that is uniquely gratifying. If you're on the fence about Tetris Effect, let me push you off the fence to the buy it side. Also, if you've played Tetris Effect and are looking for similar games, I strongly recommend Lumines. Boom! Bonus game. Its art direction is definitely not as strong as Tetris Effect, but keep in mind it originally came out in 2004.
Super hot. Super hot. Super hot.
Is truly the most innovative shooter I've played in years. I mean, come on, they have white, orange, and black. I'm pretty sure that's all the colors. Similar to Ape Out, this game could have easily gone with a very conventional visual style. But the gentle ringing as these mysterious glass people shatter not only communicates everything to the player effectively, but it also makes you feel very cool. It's always crystal clear what tools you have at your disposal and what poses a threat to you. You will always know if your attack's connected with the enemies, as they will instantly shatter. It's so satisfying, and also a really smart way to keep the player informed without explicitly telling them, hey, you hit the enemy. It would be a shame if the sequel to Superhot had area with music, and also sometimes people don't immediately shatter when they die, and also they carry orange weapons sometimes, and that would be hard to see, and also the game throws out the puzzle-based gameplay that made it engaging in favor of randomly spawning enemies behind you, and you have to kill them instead of, like, kill all of them. You kill, like, a certain amount of them, and you also have mobile lives, which is like, wah! But that's besides the point. Superhot uses its unique visuals in order to fuel its tense gameplay, and also the fact that you cannot talk about Superhot without going super hot is a testament to how memorable some of its design choices really are. I really could choose any game from Arc Sys to put on this list, but I'm going to choose Guilty Gear Strive, since that's the one I'm most familiar with. Arc Sys is known for how they take the best elements of 2D and 3D animation and fuse them together to create a truly unique experience, and their talents are certainly on display here with Strive. Well, I recommend checking out videos from those who are much more qualified on the subject. Essentially what they do is take 3D models but then use a lot of animation techniques from 2D animation to give a distinct, stylized look while still retaining the benefits of 3D. Also, it may sound like a broken record, but the character designs are just top tier. Everything's so bizarre and distinct, and it really stands out when most fighting games have 3 types of fighters: average, slightly smaller, and big boy. Guilty Gear Strive shatters the glass ceiling by introducing the long archetype. Though in all fairness, it does seem like Street Fighter 6 is going to break some boundaries by introducing the wide type characters. And when you put these together with the undisputed great soundtrack, you have yourselves a certified banger. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. Now, I'm not going to talk about the graphics that look like they're coming straight out of the Lightyear movie. Instead, I want to draw attention to the little details. Just about everywhere you look, you'll find these little details, from graffiti to notes. This was not required, the game would have been functional without them, but these little visual gags add so much more life to the world. You will find these little visual treats if you look for them, and it complements the personality of the franchise so well. It's also worth noting real quick the different variants of each plant and zombie. They could have easily just made each variant have little to no difference, but they made each one visually distinct enough such that they are easy to identify from a distance. It also makes it such that someone experimenting with different variants of the same hero doesn't get bored. I will admit they definitely did a better job with the plants on this one, but there are still differences with the zombies. When the world began, one thing was certain. I would talk about the same few points I like about Mori in almost every video. The hand-drawn elements cause it to stand out in the marketplace and give it personality, but it also makes the emotional moments hit harder than if it was just pixel art, or even worse,
realistic 3D graphics.
But I've talked on and on about Mori, so I'll use the remaining time to talk about the last game on the list. Now, I'm going to put up a bright flashes warning before I go into this last one. And while this is up, I want to draw attention to how the title says unique art direction. Well, I pretty much gravitate to anything that's unique, because I'm not like the other gamers. I don't want to act like any of these games have objectively good or bad art direction. I also put this one last such that you won't be missing much if you click off now due to the warning. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. The final game is Post Void. A lot of games probably rot your brain. I mean, why do you think Ubisoft still exists as a company? But this is the first game I think I've felt truly actively erode my mental capabilities. While obviously a game with this much visual stimulation might be a turnoff for some, I would argue it fits the game well. You have to kill an ore to fill up your idol, but it automatically loses fluid over time on top of any damage you may take. While you may start off the game cool and collected, you will eventually mess up, and chaos will ensue. And as you start panicking, the screen will start flashing more and more, adding to the chaos. It's the visual equivalent of Ape Out's soundtrack. When you end up panicking in Ape Out, the minimalist soundtrack starts sounding a little less minimalist. Same with the visuals of Post Void. However, this brings up questions of accessibility in gaming. They did make a mode where the flashing lights are turned down, but they explicitly say that this is not the way in which it's meant to be played. And if they had a clear vision and executed it while still making it playable for everyone, then I can't knock that. It just brings into question where's the line for when art direction impacts the game too much. Thanks for watching. I've always kind of wanted to make a video on art direction, and I feel like it's pretty easy to hear in my previous videos, so I'm glad I did. I'm probably going to make more of these in the future, so here's to unique games. You are pretty cool.